Zoltan, how you doing, man?
Very good, my friend.
Good to see you. Good to see you,
Good to
man.
see you.
Looking forward to seeing you guys in person. Milwaukee, July 17th, headlining Hogfest. So thanks for doing that. Everyone's excited about you guys coming back to town.
Yeah, man, that can't wait to get back into the saddle. We were off for a little bit, but you know how it is when you home, then you wanna be on tour. When you're on tour, you wanna be home. So
Sure thing is. And you got a beautiful house, man. I saw some of the footage of what was that Headbangers Homes episode that you did, right? Showing off your pad, man. Impressive.
yeah. I mean, I have it for a while, but I just never put it on camera, so to speak.
Yeah.
But a friend of mine, like Brian is a good friend of mine, and he said like, "Hey, I want to start this, sort of like
Yeah.
cribs, but in a metal world." I'm like, "Man, that's a good idea," and I'm like, I'll support it. So so we kind of opened the house for him.
Yeah, and you had some guys doing jujitsu I saw in there. I know you're a big martial artist, so that's cool to have in your home too. So
Well, it's funny because I renovated that house. It took me 5 years ish, right?
yeah.
And then it took a long time and I didn't move in. I just ended up putting mats in the house and we just use it for jiu-jitsu and podcasts and all kind of crazy stuff. Like eventually when I have time,
Yeah,
move
then
in.
you put it up. But it was impressive. It was cool. So I recommend checking out that episode. Mentioned you guys headlining Hogfest, 20 years of Five Finger Death Punch, man. That's when you hear that, what's the thought? What's the first thought or feeling or emotion that comes in your mind?
Well, it kind of snuck up on us.
Yeah,
Just because,
20
you
years,
can't
right?
live life in the fast lane. You don't
Yeah.
really think about it. It's just when the date comes up, it's like, holy cow, this has been 20 years. So I could say that, yeah, I would say it definitely snuck up on us. We didn't really think about that, but looking it because looking back, obviously it's pretty insane that we've been around that long, but it didn't feel like that. It didn't feel like 20 years. Like
Yeah.
it's for us. We are somehow living as musicians. We're living outside of this regular time. I don't know what day it is. I don't know what time it is. It's just kind of like, which is a good thing. You're free from the matrix.
Right. But yeah, man. I mean, I can remember seeing you guys probably just a couple years after that. I think the Bleeding had just come out, and you guys played Doubles Bar. I think it was in Green Bay. I
Right.
don't think that exists anymore. Small club, maybe about 100 people in there, and going, yeah, that band's got something. They're good. And then obviously you guys were headlining festivals and stuff not long after that. So I remember like the ascent kind of came quickly. Was there a moment for you where you thought, okay, we made it as a band, we're successful? If that's the right word, or did you have that mindset?
Right.
It's
Right.
like,
Right.
okay, we've accomplished, what we wanted to do thus far.
I mean, as you see, it snuck up on you too, because you were
Yeah,
talking of the bleeding, right? And now
yeah,
you're sitting here 20 years later, right? So,
yeah.
so even your memory is like, oh yeah, I remember the little club. So,
And I remember, yeah,
yeah, it's. I don't think there was a moment. Like there was not one big moment when I can say like, oh man, we made it. There was not no such moment. It's because it's a gradual grind.
yeah,
The first couple of years, I mean, first 10 years, we would play 200 something shows a year. I would be out on the road pretty much 10 months out of the year.
mhm,
So, you kind of you're just grinding and grinding and you're touring the world. Now, when I say grinding, I want to definitely make sure that, I put a footnote. I loved it. I like to be on the road. So to me, it's not something
mhm.
that I have to do or I not enjoy. So when I say grinding, I just mean that we were out on
Yeah,
it and, been doing it. And so it was pretty gradual. Obviously, all the accolades when you get a platinum plaque or, you have a few platinum records, then, you kind of look at that and go, oh my God, that's something. When you step out on the stage and there's a huge crowd, everybody sings the lyrics.
mhm,
There are those moments that definitely like, holy cow, man, this happened. So there
yeah.
are those moments, but there's not one big, epiphany of, oh my God, they made it.
Well, I imagine if you talk about the grind of touring and and that you enjoyed it and all that, I'm sure the travel accommodations are better for you guys now than in the bleeding days of just starting out and playing those small clubs 10 months out of the year, right?
Oh, definitely, yes. You know
What
what? Little information. Actually, it's funny, but you know what? This band at least, we never toured with a van.
okay.
Because in the very beginning, we, like the first record, like basically the first record was recorded in my living room. So it's kind of coffee mug, bathrobe, and in my living room, I was writing the first record. So, I mean, I put together the band around that first record. So I wrote the material, most of the material that ended up on the first record, and so. So we recorded, and when we delivered this to the record label, we basically just recorded the album done. So we said like, hey, we don't need studio support, because here's the album. We recorded, produced it on our own, and so we took all that budget and then put it in a tour support. So we always had a boss. This way we didn't murder each other in the first tour. And, that's kind of how
Yeah, that's how you get to 20 years, man.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, that would surprise me. You figure most bands are starting in some beat up piece of crap van that, will break down from time to time.
We would have. The difference is really that we didn't guzzle up the label support on recording the album, because we recorded on our own.
Yeah. And, looking forward certainly to July 18th, the day after the show, is when the Best Of comes out. Best Of Five Finger Death Punch, tour 20 years of Five Finger Death Punch, Best Of one, which is cool. And you guys re-recorded all those songs because you didn't own your own songs. But I think people hear that in the news and stuff, but don't really understand sometimes that that's how the business works for a lot of bands. But so you got to kind of reclaim all your songs again.
Yeah, I mean, obviously behind the scenes, it's not really a public thing, but this happens in the music industry all the time, literally daily. That like when you sign these contracts, there are various contracts. Our was kind of like a JV, a joint venture, right? So that's why for us it was kind of surprising. Like, hey, at least you guys should have tell us, or give an option to at least bid for it or buy it, or any way and shape be part of this whole process. But so that was a little bit surprising, but it is what it is. It's like, it's not like we're gonna, nobody's gonna throw a fit. It's a chess game. They made their moves, so we're gonna make ours. That was pretty much it. And as you see, the most famous one of these events is Taylor Swift, because this happened to her, and her masters were sold without her consent and her their knowledge. I assume without her knowledge, and otherwise she would have interfered, right? So when this happened, she just decided to re-record the entire catalog, or those records that were sold. So having a hardcore fan base, eventually what happened, all her fans switched to the new streams supporting artists. And we have a crazy fan base, so probably the same thing gonna happen. That as I said, nobody, we didn't get pissed, right? We just took action, and okay, well, that's what you guys did, then this is our next move. So here you go. And as I said, this 20 years anniversary kind of snuck up on us anyway. So we figured like, hey, like this happened, so the answer is obvious, and then we're gonna use this opportunity to really re-record these songs and make it into a 20th anniversary edition. So kind of like I said this before, but I repeat the whole lemonade thing. Like, this was that event. Here are the lemons, and we just made the lemonade. Like, hey, it is what it is, man.
It is what it is. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So get the word out to stream the new ones when they're out here.
Yeah, he said that. Listen in.
listen to the new ones. So the band owns those. What's it like going back to re-record some songs where you're talking about maybe 20 years ago that you recorded? Do you find yourself going, oh, now maybe with some experience I would have maybe done this better? Or I'm sure you guys probably stay true to the originals.
That's kind of like the trick there, that you gotta stay as close as possible. It's the Ivan's voice changed a little bit. We are different people, so so there would be some changes. We didn't really have any inclination to change things from the perspective like, oh, I wish I would have done this or that. Because that happens. You record something and you live with that for a while, and you're thinking like, man, I should have changed this or that. We didn't, we kind of grind these albums all the way through. So we didn't really have those moments of like, I wish I would have changed this or that. So we try to stay as close as possible to the originals.
And we're playing the single off of it, I Refuse, with Maria Brink, which she sounds tremendous.
Yes.
And with your guys' band, that works. She works too, right?
Yes, and it's like it's a long relationship. We know each other for a long time.
Yeah.
So it's a little known fact that there was a band in Hollywood called Dead Set. So when that set was like a local band that was fairly successful locally, they never really made it, but locally it was a pretty well known band in playing around LA. And when that band fell apart, everybody kind of jumped and took some members. Various bands took members from there. So Chris, the guitarist, ended up in This Moment, and the bass guitarist of that band ended up in That Punch.
Okay.
So we have this common origin, and then and Matt was our old bass guitarist. Matt was a sound engineer. He was helping them with their demos. So we kind of came up together. They got signed first to Century Media, and then we got signed. So it was all in, and then we went on tour several times together.
Right.
So
Right.
So we have a long history. It actually made sense that she would be the one. Beside the voice is great. She would be the one because we have this long history.
Yeah. So is that just a phone call or text and she goes, ask her to do it? She's like, yeah, I'm sure. Like, yeah,
Well,
jump on.
and the coincidence is that it just happened. So when we were doing this, she was here in Las Vegas recording, right? So she just happened to be in the studio. So it's like, okay, you cannot not notice the synchronicities,
Yeah, and just get it done. Well, Zoltan, looking forward to hearing those songs redone when that comes out the 18th, and we'll see you guys the night before, July 17th, Fiserv Forum in Milwaukee with Five Finger Death Punch, Marilyn Manson, Funeral Portrait, great lineup. Looking forward to it, man. So hope we get to say hello and hang for a bit before the show.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. Thank you, my brother.
Appreciate it, Zoltan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.